Here are all the tubers I want to get through dividing today. Got some work cut out for me. Hi garden gals and guys, it's Steph with Tiny's Garden, and today I'm showing you a quick video of how I'm dividing tubers. This may be, besides digging them up, my least favorite thing to do in the garden, but necessary. I believe it's zone 8 and above you can leave dahlias in to winter over, but here in zone 5B we can't. So I have dug all of these up, which I've already shown you that video, and now it's time to divide them. Being honest, I left these out for too long. They've been left out for about 2 days. Ideally, after you spray them off with water, they're left out to dry for a little while, maybe a night, and then you want to divide them right away. So I am seeing some start to shrivel up, which isn't good, but that's why I this morning did a ton of them and have them in here, so I'll show you some of those. But I've got the rest of these to do, and I'm going to show you with one or two how I'm doing it. But what I want you to take away from this is discovering dahlias is the best recommendation I can give you for information on how to do all of the above with dahlias. Dig them up, store them, grow them, take seed from them. It's a great, great resource. So if you haven't, I suggest purchasing this book for you. I have it book-eared here on the end, and it's always a wonderful reminder of how to handle these fastidious yet beautiful creatures. So that being beautiful when they're in bloom. These look a little not as pretty, but they certainly produce pretty things. As far as supplies, I've got needle nose snips, vermiculite, which is how I'll be storing them, or the medium I'm storing them with, a plastic tote that you can get pretty much anywhere, and I've got 3 holes drilled into this at the top just for some more breathing room. So all I did was take a, not a screwdriver, a drill, and drilled with a bit 3 times, and that's it on top of this. Easy peasy. And then in here, how I'll actually be storing them is with layers of vermiculite and then the tubers in there. So here's some that I did this morning. Written on the tuber, it's going to be hard to see, but there is something written on there, is garden marker. So garden marker won't come off. It stays on better. It is written on there what each tuber is, so I know when I go to plant it, this is Arabian Night. And there's 3 things a tuber needs to have to be a viable tuber and produce an actual bloom come the summer. A body that's intact, no big dings in it or broken in half. A neck, which is where the body and the part of the tuber at the top connect. And also an eye, which I'm going to give you an up-close look at the eye because I feel like it's the most difficult to find. Usually it's a little swollen, and if I turn this tuber, you see that little circle right there? That is the eye. That is where something will actually grow out of. On this one, here's another example of an eye right here. It's a little swollen and a little circle. That's what we're looking for. So when I go to cut this, I want to make sure that that eye is a part of the tuber. So in this one, I'm going to come behind. Oh, actually, if you look on top, see that little green right there? It's almost like it started growing again. That is an eye, and that is where it will start to grow from. That's a growth point. So I'm going to come in here right behind that growth point and cut, being careful not to break the neck. I cut it. It's still attached a little bit here. And then when I'm down to these 2, I want to separate them. So I'm going to make sure that there's an eye on each. So I can come here, cut in the middle. This one has an eye right here. Neck is intact, body. That's a good tuber. And this little one is just as good of a tuber. It's just smaller, but it doesn't matter the size. And now we've got the eye up there. Neck is intact and body. Then I would come in and label these tubers. These I actually don't know what they are. The tag fell off, but they're good tubers, so I'm gonna use them. So all I'm doing is building a lasagna tuber casserole, really. So I've got about one more layer I can put in here. So between each layer, I've got about an inch or two of vermiculite. So you're gonna start your tub with about 2 inches of vermiculite, then do your first layer of tubers, making sure they're not touching. In case one gets moldy, you don't want it to spread. So a little space in between. After that layer is done, another 2 inches of vermiculite, and you're just repeating that pattern. So now I'm gonna come in with a little more vermiculite. There we go. I'll set this in here. Another one right there, I don't want it to touch. And in there. And then we'll keep adding. A couple examples of what we don't want. This one right here, that's a broken neck. See, the neck is not intact. It's just hanging there. It's not gonna be a viable tuber. This right here, sliced in half, not gonna be a viable tuber. So now I've got a layer of tubers. So probably be my last one. They're not touching, they're spread apart. I'm gonna come in, put more vermiculite, and I think this will be the end of my bag, and cover them up. Sure is. Spread this out nice and evenly. There we go. Oops. Then I can come in, put this on it, and if I want to label what kind are in here, I can. Last year I put variety names here, but you can really put whatever you want here. And that's that. One other thing I should mention is that I do, when I put the vermiculite in, I do put a little bit of water in it and mix it up so that there's a little bit of moisture, because I don't want those tubers to dry out, but I also don't want them to be moldy, so I don't put too much, but I do add a little bit of water in there. So that is my process. And then I'm gonna clean all of this up. I do have extra that are not viable, or I just feel like I have enough at this point, so I'll throw these away. But that is my process and how I divide tubers. I'm very glad that is done. It's a huge undertaking, but come spring next year when I start to sprout these, it should be worth it. And then when we transplant them into the garden and they grow and bloom by summer to end of summer, it should be very worth it. So fingers crossed it works out. I will store these in my garage in a closed cupboard. You ideally want to be somewhere around 40 and 50 degrees for storing these. So I know a lot of people store them in their basement. My basement is too warm. That's why I put them in the garage. It's cooler in there. And that's pretty much everything. As I said, check out the Discovering Dahlias book. Check out other people as well. Because this is not my favorite job, I'm not too enthusiastic about it, but it is necessary. But I do recommend checking out how other people are doing it. And if you're in a zone 8, boy, am I jealous of you. Or a higher zone 2. That works too, because you can overwinter them in the ground. So there you have it. Please let me know if you have any questions. There are other methods, like a burrito wrap method with wrapping plastic wrap paper. Not paper, it's plastic wrap, but you roll it up like a burrito. That did not work well for me last year. I think it does work well for some people, but storing them like this with vermiculite was better. So take that for what you will. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe to follow along with all things garden, and we will see you in the next one. Happy planting, everybody. Bye.